Hello there, and welcome to video newsletter number 3. The series continues. And remember, they said it would never last, but here we are. Anyway, a couple of things to go through. One of the questions I got asked quite a bit, actually, was motivation. How do you stay motivated? Traffic. How do you stay motivated to keep training, trying to learn more, trying to improve, and all that other sort of stuff? How do you stay motivated to do it? Well, it's not motivation. You see, to me, motivation is something that's fleeting in a way. You can be motivated for a few moments, a few hours, days, weeks, maybe even a few months. And if you're very, very lucky, maybe even a few years. But motivation can go like that. You only need something bad to happen and your motivation is lost pretty quick. So I prefer to use self-discipline. So I've often said to people that, for me to come and train on my own or something like that, which is what most of my training is, solo training, for me, it's about self-discipline. I treat it like a dental appointment. I've got to be there on time, get all my work done, and then and only then can I go. So it's about self-discipline as opposed to motivation. For me, motivation is one of these things where it's a bit dreamified. One day I'll do this, or I hope that one day I'll do that. And if I train really hard, maybe one day I can do this. And it's a bit of a dreamland, so to speak, a bit like these motivational speakers, all these who go on about, I'll make you better, this, that, and the other, and all that sort of stuff. Well, to me, that's all well and good. And, you can't fail to agree with it, that you want to be better. But there's an important element missing, isn't there? Which is the discipline to do it. It's all right saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, do it. I want to get better. Well, there's only one way to get better, and that's to keep training it correctly. So that's what you've got to do. So to me, it's not about motivation. Yeah, of course, there's sometimes a bit of motivation here and there, but the vast majority of everything is pure self-discipline. Just decide to get it done, go and do it, and it's done. And that sort of spills over into everything else, doesn't it? In the old days, years ago, when I used to work for a living, don't call this work, do you? That, you'd have a list of things to do or whatever. And say, well, there's 10 or 15 tiny little things that only take a couple of minutes. We'll just get them done out the way. Then they're done. Once it's done forever. And those little things done out the way means you can concentrate on the more important things. So to me, it's having the discipline to get things done, the discipline to go and train, and the discipline to train properly when you're there, which is another thing entirely. Because it's okay to say, I want to progress too. I would like to be this good. Well, yeah, you've got to train, but you've got to train correctly as well. You've got to train with that end goal in mind. I've met a lot of people who said they want to be really good at what I teach. Fine, great, here's the material, here's what you need to do. And then, don't train it. And just expect, because they've got the material, that they know it. Or that I'll think they know it. No. You've got to train it properly. I make no excuse for the fact that this material is a learned skill, and you have to train it properly in order to be really good at it. Just like anything. You can't just buy a book on, golf and suddenly be a golf expert, can you? You can't just buy a DVD on golf and be a golf expert. All right? Same with everything. It's a learned skill, so you have to train it diligently and properly, and that is where self-discipline comes in, not so much motivation. So I hope that's helped. I also had somebody say that I'm a shameless self-publicist. I said, what? Me? Russell Stutely.com, world leader pressure point fighting, national boxing coach for Cambodia, purveyor of the world's finest pressure point fighting and self-defense hard copy DVDs, digital downloads, and online courses, a shameless self-publicist. How dare you, sir? That's what I thought to that remark. Anyway, back to the newsletter. Oh, here's something as well. Remember, if you're not subscribed to my normal newsletter, where you get the video newsletter as well, get yourself subscribed, because it's a good idea, isn't it? You get a lot of information absolutely free of charge. So it led me on to another thing where people talk about motivation. And then I said, you've got to have the self-discipline to learn and learn properly and train properly. A lot of people don't know how to train properly. So how do we remedy that? How do we help you with that? Well, I can talk about it and say you've got to do this, that, and the other. I've got the best online course you can possibly imagine that will help you with that, the Pressure Point Academy. But the very best way is to come here and train, because then you get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and I'm there with you one-to-one, making sure everything works. That's the very best way to do it. I acknowledge that it's a long way to come and it's a big investment in time, etc., etc. But if you really, truly want to be at a level, then you've got to put the effort in, you've got to put the work in, and that is the best possible way of doing it. So, for those who can't make it over here, how do you train this in the best way? Well, you've got to understand how and why a technique works, one. You've got to understand where you need to take it, okay? And you've got to train it diligently. So we always say to people, start slowly and lightly, understand the technique correctly, and look at ways to improve that technique in the best possible way you can, either from online stuff or from the hard copy DVD or whatever. Take the principles that make up the constituent parts that make up that technique, add them in, refine them, make them better, and apply that to everything that you do. Now, it sounds like a long, laborious process, and believe you me, unless you're here doing it with me, it is. What takes you 5 or 6 years out there takes you a day and a half, 2 days over here. That's guaranteed. Which leads me on to another thing that people spoke about, which was power generation. Now, we've been known for many, many years about power generation and how to generate enormous impact. And people are still shocked to this day just how hard, how impactful the strikes actually are. Now, here's the rub. Here's the bit that annoys me, used to annoy me, in fact still does now and again, although I try not to let it, because that's control, isn't it? But here we go. Here's what used to happen a lot, especially with traditional martial artists. Let's say they've been training 20 years and they hit an X. They come and train with us for 20 minutes and they're hitting at 1.5, 2 times X. And certainly within an hour, they're hitting at 2X, maybe even more. And I've proven this literally thousands of times. In fact, we made a DVD many years ago where part of the proof was that people who we didn't know were invited down, and it was filmed live. Of course, everything's filmed live, but you know what I mean. Filmed live. I proved it with every single person there within 1 hour. And that's what we do. We get you to hit incredibly hard with a lot less effort as well. But here's what happens. This is how I can't get my head around this one. You've been training 20 years and you hit an X. You come here. 20 minutes later, you hit 1.5, 2X. And then you have the audacity to question what I'm teaching you. And say, well, it's not quite Shotokan. It's not quite Taekwondo. It's not quite Wado. It's not quite Krav Maga. Blah, 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 blah. You what? Hold on. You've been training 20 years and you hit an X. You've been training 20 odd minutes with me and you hit at 1.5, 2X. And you're questioning the way I'm doing it. My sensei says it should be done like that. Well, your sensei is wrong. If your sensei hit 1.5, 2 times as hard as me at the same size, then I'll do what your sensei said. Simple as that. I've always had the mindset of, if they're doing it better, let's see what they're doing, let's replicate it and try and improve on it. No matter what it is. Could just be a simple technique. Could be movement, anything. My job. But everything I do is about giving you the very best possible information I can find in a way that's easy to understand, easy to learn, easy to replicate. To take a massively complex subject and make it simple. That's my job, it's what I do. So when I do it, and teach you how to hit really effing hard, very, very quickly, and you turn around and go, yeah, but my sensei, shut up. Don't be so daft. Take some other thing like, I don't know, golf. And you could only drive the ball 100 yards. Somebody taught you how to drive it 200 yards. 20 minutes later, would you go, oh, but my original golf coach? Of course you wouldn't. Use this. That's the sort of thing that we've had for years and years and years. Still to this day, people do it. And it's the same with techniques. We used to say, I had a saying that, I stole this actually from Richard Cottrell. It might look the same, but it ain't. It might look the same, but it ain't. So a silly example to make a point. Somebody does a technique and the person goes, ow. We do the same technique, they scream and fall over, but what looks like a lot less effort from the inputter, from the person doing the technique. The technique may look the same, but it ain't. All right? That's one of the things you've got to understand about what we do, what we teach, what you're going to learn, especially if you come here, is that you're going to make the techniques extremely efficient and extremely effective with less effort. And once you understand that you're getting that massive effect with a low effort input, if you like, low strength, low effort, you've then got to imagine what it's going to be like when you go full speed, full power, everything you've got, especially when we've already doubled or maybe even trebled your impact and your ability to do it. It's an enormous change. But anyway, there you go. So that's my thoughts on video newsletter 3, video newsletter 4 to come. All you've got to do is send in your questions, send in something else that you want to know, whatever, and we'll get on it for you. Anyway, enjoy yourself, train properly, look after yourselves out there, and I'll see you on the next one.